Well, good morning, and my name is Karl Manrodt. I'm a faculty member here at Georgia College, and we're really excited to have Mr. Pete Moore with us today. And we're kicking off our cohort in our Masters of Logistics and Supply Chain Management. It's our second online cohort, which we're really excited about. And Pete, thank you very much for coming in as our keynote speaker for the event.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. It's really a pleasure. It's a great school and it's very impressive, so glad to be participating.
And we're glad to have you for a couple reasons. One, we've known each other for a long time. We're not going to say how long that's been. So, we didn't even tell the cohort that's
right.
there. They're going to have to do research on that one.
That's right. Yeah,
But really, your career has been very interesting, and you've had a lot of different things on that. And I just want to kind of get your sense about a couple different things about transportation, where that's headed, and kind of get your insights that we can share with our larger audience.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate it.
So,
Yeah,
kind
sure.
of first thing up, what are some of the big changes that you're seeing in the industry and transportation in particular?
Oh, in particular in transportation is in a couple of different areas. One is the whole idea of rate making and the contracting for transportation, which was very transactional in the past, is becoming more and more collaborative. On the actual operation side, new modes, new engines, the use of natural gas in vehicles, and ships, and as it have been already in rail locomotives. The driver labor situation is changing very radically in terms of how we're going to do it, to the point that the industry is actually looking at driverless vehicles. Right. And then the technology for monitoring all of that and managing all of that is rapidly changing to cloud-based systems. So a lot of changes taking place in this industry.
So I heard you talk about basically three things, and maybe a couple more than that, right? Collaboration, this whole idea of technology, that's really innovating quite a bit on that side, right?
Yeah.
And then there's really the need for people to understand what those changes are in order to be able to anticipate or look at how that industry is going to change.
Yeah, and very importantly, people outside of traditional logistics and transportation as a group, the broader sense of and broader field of management is paying a lot more attention to this. It's driving a lot of bottom line results, and the technology being very affordable makes for really great investments with high returns. And so you get the attention at the board level for this field, which has always been sort of the stepchild in the back room that just sort of makes things happen, is now out front and a very, very, very attractive field to go into right now.
And we had a chance to talk about that at dinner last night. And JDA just came out with a study. They interviewed 450 CEOs in retail establishments and businesses, and they found that 88% are really placing a greater emphasis this year on transportation and logistics. So even though it's one field that people think, well, that's dying or it's not there anymore, it's really coming to be preeminent in organizations to try to think about how they ought to really go after the market and attack it.
Yeah, if you think of the traditional definition of what the transportation services and the transportation management of a company was trying to create, was value in a place. And so something that's on time at the point where, in that particular case, a consumer wants to get it, is what's really creating the value. Having that product sitting in a warehouse or having it sit in China has no value to you. I need it right here when I reach out my hand and I want that red sweater, and I'm at whatever retail store I happen to be at. So that value is getting created by this logistics and transportation group. You've made the decision for a red sweater, now how do I get it?
It's really insightful in that we start talking about, especially in intro to logistics courses, about time and place utility, right time, right place. And in the old days, well, we were growing up, in the old days, the place was the convenience store. Right. Today, that place that I shop is really my app as
Sure.
I'm going home.
Yeah, and I want it when? I want it today or tomorrow at my house.
Yeah, I want it
right.
at my house when I get home.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go pick it up. You got to bring it to me.
Yeah.
It's completely changing the nature of how we're going to manage this process.
And the news came out earlier this month about Macy's now going to go ahead and do same-day delivery in 13 markets.
Right.
So a lot of changes. So let's kind of wrap it up and talk about education then. So you're going to be talking with our cohort, and you've thought a lot about this idea about how should people prepare for some of those changes. What kind of thoughts do you have as far as what people should be thinking about, what students should be thinking about, to make sure they're prepared for an environment where the technology is always changing and where there's this greater need for collaboration.
Well, logistics, if you will, is the profession for supply chain management, and that's the way I define it. And supply chain management has grown to be inclusive of everything in the order to cash cycle, in the planning cycle, et cetera, around not only just the movement of goods, but the financial impact of that, the movement of cash back to the company in a given time. The information that that transaction generates is useful to me in terms of knowing my demand for the future. So there's a lot of areas that an individual with a particular skill can pick to go into and still have plenty of depth to work with, can make a career out of that piece, but you really have to understand the big picture. You are part of a ecosystem in the supply chain space, and your field might be, I'm going to be an expert at the logistics of that for your particular field, but you might contribute from some other area as well. But knowing that will really, I think, attract you into one or more areas of supply chain for a future. And that means in the future, for a lot of companies today, a C-level job in the future, based on the fact that you really know how these things take place within the business.
So how should people keep up with all the different changes? I mean, how do you kind of organize your professional side to make sure that you're aware of those changes that are occurring?
Well, I tell people, particularly younger people in this field, I tell them to invest in themselves. Take some time, invest in education, and stay with it, not just a few courses, and in this particular case, get your MBA, but now join associations, participate at the professional level, give back by bringing more people behind you, fill in behind you with your staff and the expertise that you create. That will make the industry richer and stronger, and it'll also advance your own career.
Good. Well, thanks for the insight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules to meet with us. And if you have any questions about the online Masters of Logistics and Supply Chain Management program, please feel free to contact us at any time. Thanks again.